Can you believe the balls on these 304's? I mean, because I believe it. We're used to seeing this. I was an only fool's star. Now I want to restore my hymen and return to my Mormon roots. All right, so basically, now that I've milked this profession for all I can, now I'm gonna be just like one of the other girls. I'm a good Christian whammons, okay? You need to learn to forgive. You can't hold my past against me. I'm a born again virgin. Texas OnlyFans star plans to undergo hymen restoration surgery in a bid to return to her Mormon roots, a decision she claims to make her late husband proud. What about your decision to do OnlyFools? So I'm not doing this to undo my past, but to honor how far I've come. Holly Jane 42 told Jam Press of her plan to wind the block back on her sex life. Have you finally hit menopause? Is that pretty much what this is? Yeah, you can't trick God. Yeah, you could trick pretty much any person, but do you really think you can fool an omniscient God? Yeah, you think you're going to show up in heaven and God's going to let you argue about technicalities and pull up, well, actually? No, God's going to tell you, you ain't getting in here. You going to hell. And you try to argue, you're just going to go there faster. The 42-year-old mother of three, who describes herself on her website as your favorite next-door MILF, claims she was kicked out of her church when they found out about her not safe for work side hustle. Yeah, how much you want to bet that she was trying to hit on all the younger guys at the church, too? Or now she hopes to surgically wipe the slate clean, an idea that came to her during prayer like a divine directive. Yeah, it totally wasn't because she saw an article about hymen restoration in China and how all these Chinese women are doing it. And she just went, ooh, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Maybe I could get some of those younger, like late 20s guys if I trick them this way. I had a moment in prayer when I felt God speak to me saying, you are not broken, go and be restored. Are you sure that when you heard that there wasn't a snake somewhere near your ear? Are you absolutely sure? You may want to double check because that's an important detail. I recall the born-again virgin who shares the salacious snaps to her over 1.6 million Instagram followers. That moment gave me everything I needed. To renew her V-card, Jane plans to undergo a hymenoplasty. Okay. Also known as hymen repair, in which the surgeon sews together the torn edges of the woman's hymen with dissolvable stitches. Those dissolvable stitches are pretty nice, actually. Yeah, because if you got like regular stitches, you have to go back in to get them removed later. But with the dissolvable ones, I mean, they stick around just long enough to do the job, and then they dissolve, and you don't have to come back for another appointment just to get rid of them. Really neat and really nifty invention, actually. Yeah, too late. No diamond for you. Uh-huh. You effed around a little bit too much. Now you're finding out. Hymenoplasty, just grab glue. Yeah, I think the problem is the glue wouldn't keep it together long enough. Anyway, she viewed the procedure, which cost a cool $3,000, as a sacred rebirth. Is this pretty much at the level as when the church used to sell forgiveness? And that was like one of the things that led up to the Protestant Revolution or Reformation. Yeah, she thinks she could buy her way back into God's good graces. That's how an omniscient, omnipotent being works, right? Something tells me it may not end up the way you think it will. However, Texan insists her rejuvenation op is not meant to shame or judge people who enjoy sex, rather by restored sense of freedom. The skinfluencer explained that she's already made peace with God and now has to put food on the table after her husband died in an accident in current year -7 at just 31. Now, you see, if she was effectively forced into doing this because it's the only way she could think to pay her bills after her husband died, she might be able to get a little bit of sympathy. But of course, the question's always going to be like, what other options were there and why were they not taken? And as far as like the final layer of that healing, said the widow, who insisted that she's not trying to erase her wonderful deceased husband or what they had. On the contrary, I believe that by doing something to strengthen the faith we both shared, we are brought closer together. Even though he is no longer with us, she said, I know he would have been supportive of what I want to do. Well, that depends on what specifically you want to do. A lot of these women think that they just have they can get away with literally anything and their husband just has to put up with it. But they're not willing to reciprocate, of course. They're not willing to let their husband get away with everything. It only goes one way. Jane's decision might have been divinely inspired and tied to her late husband, where she claims she's not going under the knife for a church or any man. Yeah, I'll call bullshit on that. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, if she's actually fine, if she's fine on her own going forward and she shows no interest in trying to get another man, I mean, maybe. I'm not preparing myself for someone or doing this for the Mormon community, said the penitent cum pornographer with an emphasis on cum. I've already been judged by my church. I let go of the need for their approval a long time ago. I'm finally treating myself with reverence. Only took you 43 years. She said she hopes that her saga will inspire others who struggle with shame, claiming that the church says purity can be lost. I believe purity is claimed. No, you might be able to achieve redemption, but you're not going to get purity back. That's one of those things. Once it's lost, it's lost. It's not coming back. No amount of faking it will change that fact. Oh, it's not about your body, it's about your soul, she said, living in the truth, refusing to hide, and forgiving myself for the burdens I was never meant to carry. That's purity to me now. Well, sadly, the rest of the world doesn't see things that way. This isn't the first influencer who was attempting to surgically restore her virginity. Last year, a Brazilian influencer announced plans to revert to her pre-romp days by dropping more than $19,000 on a vaginal rejuvenation operation, only to immediately go right back to being a 304 and effectively needing one of these again every year, huh? Pretty much how it works. Yeah, so why redo your Hymen? I don't know. I mean, I think I've known women that say similar things about getting breast implants. Oh, I'm not doing this for any man. I'm doing this for me. But aren't you always crying about heteronormative beauty standards and whatnot? Why are you feeding into the stereotype, huh?